This is the Tiffany's Fitness Podcast. My name is Tiffany, and today's guest is the excellent Leighton Lythgoe. You may know him as at the KV Coach on Instagram. We have a great conversation, so I'll let you listen to it, and I'll check back in with you at the end. How long have you been coaching for?
So, I have actually only been coaching for 2 years and 4 months. So not
You're a
a very
baby
long
trainer.
time. Yeah. It's not been too long, to be honest with you, but I feel like it's kind of been a little bit of a whirlwind, because I've always trained, kind of from like the age of 15. And then I was working a job that I really didn't like, and then I was working two jobs. One job that I did like, one that I didn't, and kind of built up a bit of a nest egg. And I knew this was something that I always wanted to do, so I just thought, fuck it, like I'm gonna leave my job. I'm gonna start coaching. And so this room here, this is where I first coached out of. So this used to be like a little gym, and I would coach people in here, and I had like 5 clients a week, and I was making no money, and I was just living off my savings. And then like I think it got to like, this was during the pandemic as well, so like we weren't supposed to be really training people, but I was having to like sneak people into the house without anyone seeing. And then after, I think I coached out of this room for maybe like a year, just over a year. And then I moved to my first gym, which was a little bit out the way. But I felt like that was needed because I live in this house alone, and I train in this house alone, and I work in this house alone. So although you're with clients, you kind of miss that vibe of a gym, which I think is like one of the pitfalls of training from home, unless you are really someone who's quite introverted. I find that like it's quite difficult to do everything out of the one space, and I just like having that drive to work and the change of scenery, and just laying off other people as well. Like I was kind of the big fish in the small pond, and like I was kind of the best at what I did out of everyone I knew. And then I go to a gym, and there's people who are just lifting crazy weights and doing shit that I'd never seen before, and I was like, fuck, like I can learn a lot from these. Like I've got to up my game. So fast forward, I did about 6 months there, and then there was a gym up the road that I would like hold kettlebell classes of a week. So I'll do one a week there. And I remember, I don't know how much you believe in fate or anything like that, but I remember I was thinking like one day in a class, I was like, this gym is shit. Like this, I could do so much with this space. Like it was dark, it was like the equipment was everywhere. And I just thought, this is such a lovely space with loads of natural light. I would love to have this gym. And the very next day, the guy who owned it called me, and he was like, I'm selling up. Like, do you want to take the space from me? And I was just like, yes. So
cool.
I just took that off him. I had a bit of a bump in the road as well, because it's like a massive building. It used to be a brewery house. And so there was 2 rooms downstairs and the gym on the top floor, which I assumed I was just taking over the top floor. And then so I get there, I've told the other gym I'm leaving. I'm like, yeah, right, this is it. I'm done, I'm all in. And then I get there, and the landlord's like, yeah, you can't just have the top floor. Like, you've got to take the entire building. And I was like, okay, I did not budget for this. But fuck it, we're going to make it work. So I ended up taking the whole building. And I've just started subletting the 2 rooms downstairs to kind of make it a little bit easier on the rent and stuff. But yeah, so two years into being a coach, I have my own studio. So it's been very, very fast paced, but I really enjoyed it, and I found I have learned a lot on the way. And it's just really enjoyable having your own space, your own way of doing things, and more importantly, like being able to implement the style of training that I want on the area, as opposed to like, oh yeah, just do everything, just come to me, I just want money.
Please, I'll do whatever you want.
I'll do yoga, I'll do anything. I don't know how, but I'll do it if you pay me. But yeah, it's been good, and it's been good, like kind of just like the scene here with kettlebells, like in Liverpool, are becoming really popular, and that's because we've got some really good trainers who like I'm quite good friends with, who, you know, we've done our strong first quals and stuff like that, and then there's not really much kettlebell sport prominence. I don't know anyone who does kettlebell sports in this whole city. I know one lady, and that's it. So we've got some really good trainers, and then we've got some really bad trainers who butcher things and almost kind of like to kind of implement their style of training, I guess, which is just basically just hit training with kettlebells with shitty form. And that was like a major thing for me, is like, I want to show people that kettlebells don't have to be the boring, strong first, regimented, hard style, like only do swings and cleans and presses and snatches. Like you can fucking, I don't even do Turkish get-ups. Like, not for me. I used to do them. Don't really see the point in them now. But I wanted to show people.
Get along then.
I know Emilio. I met him at my strong first qualification. So like, yeah, he hates them. I hate them. I just think they're stupid. And like, I enjoy them for a warm up. I just don't feel like they achieve much in terms of training objectives. Like, it's a complex. I think the movements individualized are probably beneficial, but you're getting one rep of each individual component across this complex of a Turkish get-up that I just don't really see the point in them. But that's for another day. But yeah,
I'm gonna bring both you and Emilio on, and you guys can both just talk crap, and I could be like, but really, they're still fun. I still like them.
Yeah, they are fun. Oh no, you'd be outnumbered there. Like, we'd just be shouting over each other. But so like, I want to show people that there is the fun side, there is the juggling, and there is the hard style, and there's also, you can bodybuild with them. And like, I wanted to expand people's horizons, because it seems like a lot of people feel as though, and this is not my opinion, but I'm more projecting this of what other people have said, is like, people generally tended to look at kettlebells as like what the middle-aged women would pick up in a HIIT training class in a shitty gym. And I wanted to show people that, like, you can lift some heavy ass weight, you can build muscle, you can build strength, and you can do some fucking seriously cool shit with kettlebells. And I feel like that's what we're starting to achieve at the gym. So it's nice. I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to just expanding the community and making sure that people know what they're all about and don't view them as this one-dimensional tool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. Just like stumbled into owning a whole
building.
A whole building. That's how do you like having your like a gym? Like, I don't think I would personally want to have a brick and mortar business that I am personally responsible for, because I've seen how hard that is. I've seen like, it doesn't look fun, and I'm not a great business person, so I don't think I should be responsible for a whole building. I feel like that would crumble very quick, because it looks so hard to manage a business and then also do all of the coaching parts, because that's all I want to do. It's just teach. I just want to teach people how to kettlebell. So how do you?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like, I only found this out in my adult life, but I do suffer with ADHD, and the moment I knew a space was available, all I'd see was, I'm going to put this here, I'm going to put that there, I'm going to teach this, I can do more classes, I can do this. I did not for 1 second consider the fact that running a gym was a full-time job in itself. And so I kind of got in there and I was like, oh, this needs painting. I need to buy the equipment. Like, I need to manage it. I need to clean it. Like, I need to promote it. I've got another Instagram now. So it's like my workload had just all of a sudden doubled overnight. And I did not anticipate that. I feel like I'm used to it now. But I feel like the good thing about the space I've got is it's just a studio and it's just a private facility. So there's no membership in a sense of like, you can just come in and use the equipment. It's only really like one-to-one personal training and classes. So there's not really any overheads in terms of like hiring staff or anything like that. Like, it was just me up until last week. I've got a new lad in now, Connor, and he's going to start personal training out there too. So there's 2 of us. But to be honest with you, I found like I've settled into it a little bit more, and I don't really feel like it's that much more of a burden now as what I did at first, because all the hard work in terms of renovation is done. Now it's just a case of like funding some new equipment when I need it, just making sure I stay on top of things. But a big thing for me was like keeping the space very minimalist, because I just want a floor space where people could just pick up a kettlebell and train for an hour. So we've got like a punch bag, a rack, we've got an air bike because I just think they're great, and we've got a rower as well, and then obviously some rings and some pull-up bars, just basically a lot of free weights. And that's kind of the mantra I wanted to stick by. And it's not because I feel like free weight training is in any way superior to cables, to machines, because I don't. At the end of the day, like, force production is force production regardless of external stability. But I just like and enjoy the flow of training with free instruments, and I feel like it's an enjoyable form of training. And if that gets people through the door, and it's something a little bit different about my gym than, say, a commercial gym, then that's the ethos and the mantra that I want to stick by. So yeah, to answer your question, to give you a short answer, I suppose, I do like owning the gym. Yeah, I do like owning the gym.
That's good. Also, I imagine like owning like machines and cables or getting them would be like a huge expense. Not to mention the maintenance. Whereas a kettlebell, I sand down the handles, and that's about it. That's all you really got to do with a kettlebell. Whereas with like a machine, like a cable or a whatever leg press, like there's mechanisms that have to be upkept. Otherwise, things happen. I bet it's probably just like a lower, I don't know, cost adventure at that point.
Yeah, I think so. I do have one cable machine, but it's plate loaded, so I just use the plates I've already got for the barbells. And I love the cable machine because I really only do all my accessory training with cables for my arms. Just because I like how it feels, and I like the fact that you've got the cable matching the direction of the joint, so I feel like I get a little bit less beat up. And if I'm going to do, like, I see these people on Instagram, forgive me if you've ever done this, I'm not shitting on you, but like, I see people doing like a tricep extension with a kettlebell and stuff, and to me, you're forcing the joint to move in a way that it doesn't move. Like, this is a hinge, like, it's not supposed to be having force directed against it this way, I suppose.
I do very high volume of those. It's part of my bent press work is my triceps are one of my limiting factors in my bent press. It's just like that last little, this part, where you're like shaking before the lockout, triceps. So I do a million. I do a million of those every week.
There's a couple of ways of looking at everything, I suppose, and like the important thing for me coaching is like I'm never married to an idea. So if you've got a different perspective, and I listen to that and go, oh shit, yeah, that's a great point. For me, like, I personally, and this is probably me projecting my personal experience onto clients, but personally, I feel like when my joints are kind of fixed in that position, I'm going really heavy. I find it cranks my joints a little bit. The same way I do with like a barbell bench press. I feel some people are built for them, some people aren't. Whereas I feel with the cable, particularly when I've got like beginners who have never been in the gym before, everyone can do 1 kilo on a cable regardless of what movement you're doing. Whereas I find even the lightest kettlebells, in terms of pressing or in terms of whatever it may be, might be inaccessible for a complete beginner. So I feel like the cable is a super, super important component for just getting people used to producing force and doing it safely, where there's not really any risk involved. You can just let go if you feel like you're going to fail or injure yourself. And so that's kind of my thought process on having that in there. I just thought it would be an essential part of the gym, really. But like I say, like, I'm more than happy to listen to your rationale as to like if you find benefit from doing the overhead extension with the kettlebell.
When I'm doing it, I'm not going heavy. I'm doing like I don't do like truly like the only, oh my God, my dog is killing me. The only actual heavy thing I do is a bench press. That's like the only heavy lift I really do. I don't max out on deads or squats or anything else. Like I don't even know what my bench is, which is very annoying for all like my neighbors who are all broed out. They're like, what's your bench? Oh no. Oh, fucking no, man. I don't know. I can do a really cool old-timey strongman lift, but like when I'm doing that, I'm doing it like 10 kilos. Like I'm not doing anything like excessively heavy. And I'm just trying to build this, and I'm trying to build it also like, in a weird position because I'm gonna end up doing it in a weird position. Because the bench press is a weird thing to do, so you have to train those weird things. That's also why I did like this week. A mace bench press. Where I was holding it and like the mace bell was like out here and I was holding it trying to balance it, and that's a weird thing to do, but it was really taxing on the wrist, and my wrist is also one of my limiting factors, but also that's not a thing I would recommend to a beginner. Like I'm not having my clients who are like, I think I want to learn how to do the bench press because I see you doing it. I'm like, oh cool. I'm not gonna have them grab a mace and try to balance it on their wrist like that. Like that would be an insane thing to do. So I think with anything, you just have to know your body, and know what your limits are, and listen to your body if it tells you that something is not right. Because there are things that like don't feel good, like Bulgarian split squats. I know everyone hates them, but like when I go heavy on those, like they feel like legitimately bad, like not like a burn, but they feel bad. And so like, okay, I just don't go super heavy on those, and I know that that's my limit for those. And when you're working with clients, you ease them into things so you can find what works for them and what their limits are, and listening to them and what their feedback is. Because I have clients who don't like the behind the head tricep extension. It doesn't feel good for them. It doesn't feel good on their elbows, and that's fine. We do something else. There's plenty of ways to strengthen a tricep. Like there's not one exact way we have to do a thing. That's the gig as coaches.
Exactly.
Is to find that thing, and find the way to make them hit their goals regardless of whatever limitations they may have with their body or equipment, because most of the people I train, all the people I train, are working with limited equipment at them. Like they have at home, they're not going into a gym. It's all, I think it's everyone. And like, so like you have to work around with that to make it still effective and help them hit their goals, however that is.
I'd agree. And like that, I think it's okay. I can't really hear it too much.
Oh, good.
I think the same. Like, and I think, like you've just mentioned there, what's important as a coach is to individualize things. And like, I think some coaches are just kind of stuck with this cookie cutter mentality of like, well, I can bench and I can do this. Why can't you do it? Like, what I'll always say to my clients is there is no one lift that you have to do, like, at all. Like, people are like, oh, you must squat, you must bench, you must dead. Like, no, you fucking don't. Like, you could, the muscle just responds to force regardless of whatever mechanism it is that you are kind of using to do that. Then I'm fine with that. Like, sitting on a leg extension machine or squats or sissy squats, whatever it may be, like, we'll find what works for you. And I think that's the most important part of coaching. And also just finding like some people just don't like things. And like, even if you think it's going to be good for them, and like, look, I know that you're good at this, or like, I know that you'll be able to overload this really quickly or really well, you just don't like it. And that's another hurdle that you've got to kind of overcome. And that's just fucking life. That's just how it is.
It's a fine balance between like pushing people to do things to make them better, because that's what they're paying us to do, but also doing it within what they're going to actually do. Because if I can program things all day long, they don't do it, it's not going to help them. I can type out a really good program that will get them exactly to where they need to go, but if they don't do it, it's not helping anybody. And it's a waste of my time. So why am I going to do it?
Exactly. And that's like programming for me is like one of those things in coaching where I used to be like a big believer in this strong first mentality of like 2, 3, 5 reps per set and follow this and wave the intensity and do this and do that, and like having this rigidity to programming. And I feel like the more I've evolved as a coach, the more I'm just like, I'm just going to take the principles of what are going to get you better, and then we're just going to have a bit of a play. So like, I know that as long as we are generally increasing volume over time, or we're improving your form or whatever through whatever mechanism that may be, that you are going to progress. And I think the average person who walks into the gym who just wants to lose like 5 or 10 pounds or whatever, you don't need this rigid, structured, almost athlete built program. You go, let's give you a load of exercises, let's see what you like, and let's build on them. And like, it's not going to be this perfect split. And like, seeing your Instagram and the way you train, you obviously incorporate a lot of play into your training, like I do. And I think that the first time I ever come across you is when you did the 48 kilo bench press. And I thought, fuck me, like that's so strong. Not even strong for a lady, strong for a human, period. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. So then I obviously had a little bit of a look into the stuff you were doing, and it was just having fun. And I think like the most important aspect of training, some people say like, oh, boring training is good training. It isn't. Like, good training is the training you go, I can't wait to get into the gym and to flip a kettlebell and to do a quad flip or to do this bench press, or I have done like the Turkish get up with like a full glass of water on top and stuff like that. And where is that going to get you? People are like, what's the point? I'm like, because I'm having a good time doing it. And that is the whole point. Like, not everything's got to be hypertrophy or strength or this or that. It's moving your body in ways and exploring your potential, moving it in a way that you previously didn't see possible or see fit. And I think that's the key, and kind of the thing that underpins my whole coaching ethos is like, I want you to try everything. Like, I want you to try the barbell, the cable, the kettlebell, body weight. I want you to do cardio. Like, I want you to do everything. And I just don't believe in this kind of inch wide, mile deep mentality that like a lot of the hard style kettlebell practitioners go with. That bores the living shit out of me. Like, I want to have fun. Yeah.
They don't want to do like, the average person doesn't want to just do swings and get ups. Like, no, that's not fun. Like, it's boring. I did what is it, the quick and the dead? It's a push-up one, the push-up
the push-ups and swings. Or is it snatches?
I think I swapped it for snatches. It was like 3 years ago. It was like beginning of the pandemic when everything started to shut down. I was like, I have all these books. I've read all the paddle books or whatever, and I did like half of it, and I was like, this is boring. Like, I'm so bored. I don't want to do this. Like, it's not like it wasn't like, I don't know, it was hard because it was, you're pushing yourself, and I was going, whatever, but it wasn't like, I was never like, this is like a good hard. Like, I like struggling. Like, this last week I was doing bench presses, and I moved up my band weight and I failed, and it was hard, and I was like, but I was pumped about it. Like, I was like, oh, I found my fucking limit. Cool. Now I can figure out how to get better at this, and I can push myself again. When I was doing that, I was just like, God, this workout is not taking that long, but I am not having a good time doing it. And I don't want to do it. So yeah, I mean, right now my training is a lot of, it's mostly bench press work, but I really, because my bench press work is pretty repetitive, I'm doing, I am working with a lot of variations, which is a lot of fun. But like, my like max effort day is high reps, band stuff. And with that, like, I'm giving myself fun at the end. Like, I was, okay, cool, I'm gonna flow for like 15 minutes at the end of this. And when I'm doing like even like high volume sports work and stuff, I always try to, like, that's why juggling is such an important part for me. Because I need that day where I don't have any structure. Like, I can do whatever the crap I want on that day. I can practice whatever weird move I feel like, or I don't have to do any of that, and I can just flow for the whole time. It's not a big deal. And people get worried about like muscle imbalances or whatever, and I was like, it's 8 kilos. Like, I'm not going to get a muscle imbalance from 60 minutes on a Saturday. like I do a lot of other things throughout the week. The muscle imbalance isn't going to be the problem there. If I did all my bench press reps on my no problem. I think having and giving yourself that fun is important. And I try to do that with my clients as well. Like, give them like finisher complexes or days where it's just doing fun stuff, so they stay engaged and keep wanting to train. And like, even if or like with sport workouts, sometimes it becomes a slog. Like, it's rough. It's a lot of volume. It's repetitive work, because it has to be, because you're working towards a repetitive, it's a 10-minute set. Like, it's a repetitive thing. But like, sometimes we'll throw in like 30-second sets, which is a freaking party for a sport athlete. It's so much fun to do 30 seconds of jerks or long cycle versus the 7 minutes we're normally working towards, or something stupid. So like, I think incorporating that and finding that sort of fun, no matter what your client is working towards, whatever their goals are, whatever they have, is super important. Because you gotta have fun. You're not gonna do it if you don't have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what good is a program where you're going to skip 2 days because I don't like the movements on that day? Like, I'd rather train suboptimally and like train every day because I like doing it. And like, that's, I mean, for us as coaches, we understand that like you essentially have to do the same 4 or 5 movement patterns forever for the rest of your life, like with squat, push, pull, hinge, carry, and like, we've got to find a way to make that engaging and to make that fun. And I, for one, I'm not a fan of like either this gym and volume training style or just this style of just like repetition that, like, I see so many men in particular preaching this on Instagram, like, who are just these strong face like aficionados, and it's like they're so kind of encapsulated in this one way of doing things that they're like, why would you do a bicep curl? Like, why would you do this when you could just do swings? And this old school mentality of like, you've only got to do cleans because they hit the biceps. I'm like, I'm telling you, they do not hit the biceps in the same way a bicep curl does. Like, we need to train, but like, if you think training your hip flexors is important, why don't you think training your biceps or your triceps is important? Like, if you want a stronger press, you can't just press all the time. You got to make the kind of the secondary mover just as strong. And that's kind of a big thing for me, and how I've evolved as a coach. Is I was that boring person who would just be like, just do this and just do this. And you know what? For some of me older clients, like, I've got a group of like 3 older ladies who I train now twice a week who'd never done anything in their life. And a lot of the time it is just squats and hinges and presses, because they're just so amazed that the body can actually do these things that they're not even considering the fact that they might need variety, because they're not far enough into the training journey to understand that. And when they do, or when they express to me that they're getting a bit bored, that's when we'll put a little bit of fun in. But yeah, I think it's horses for courses. And like you say, the answer to any question in fitness is it depends.
Yeah. It's the most annoying answer too for everyone. It's like, oh, what do you think about this? Oh, it depends. Like, it could be either way. And what works for them might not work for you. Are you training anything right now? Like, are you working towards anything big? I saw you did like 6 rep 40K double press, push press,
single press.
Single press, okay.
Single press, yeah. So to be honest, my training goals have kind of changed quite a lot over the last year. I trained for my first marathon from January to March. It was more like running based. So I ran that. I've got another marathon coming up in 8 weeks, mainly because I just like the challenge. And I was never really a runner. So I just thought, if I'm shit at it, I'm going to do it. And so I've kind of given myself 8 weeks to train for this marathon, which probably is not enough time, but I like that aspect of putting myself under a bit of pressure.
When was your last marathon?
April 16th, I believe.
Oh, it'll be a tight fit.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be tight, but like I kind of feel like because I coach myself, and I always say the person who coaches themselves as an idiot for a client, because I do always believe that as a coach you should have a coach, but I, like I say, don't like sticking to regiments or programs too much. So I like to coach for myself, and program for myself. But I find if I don't have something to work towards, I will almost get caught up in too much play. And like I do kind of now have a bit of an aesthetics based goal, which is to drop a bit of body fat to get kind of lighter for running. So I suppose it's performance based too. But I find that unless I have something external keeping me accountable, the ADHD brain is just like, do this, just go in and press. You're good at that. Or just press, press, press. And so, like, I need to be like, you've got to do your split squats, like, you've got to do your runs, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And I find that works best for me. So I'm doing that. And I also want to do Beast Tamer by the end of the year as well. So I am at a 44 kilo press. I don't have a 48 yet, so I've not tried it. I'm at a 44 kilo pistol and 36 kilo tactical pull up because I hate pull ups. I prefer chin ups.
I am really bad at pull ups. Actually, I haven't tried a pull up in a really long time. I doubt that I could do it at this point. I don't have like a pull up bar. I have like a bar. It's supposed to go in their door frame or whatever, but my feet can touch the floor, and so it's just like it's not the same. So when I go in the gym, and like I'm not doing pull ups because I go to the gym like once a week to do bench press stuff. I'm not gonna do pull ups after bench pressing. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not like I know myself. Like I have whatever things I'm gonna do when I go in. I'll do like hangs and stuff, but no, I don't know. I doubt that I could.
It's just awkward.
Also,
like it just doesn't feel nice.
I was doing it, I was lighter, so I'm a bigger person than I was when I was able to do pull-ups. So it would be. I'm also stronger. I probably have to train it, but it's not something that I care about.
Yeah, I don't care about a pull-up.
I know everyone's like, you gotta do your whatever, those things. You have to be able to do this or whatever. And I'm like, no.
I don't. I'll just like stick to bench press.
It's same thing with like, with like bench pressing or something. Why don't you do it? It's just not something that is valuable to me in my training. And a bench press does nothing for any of the things that I'm training for. Like if I'm doing sport, I don't need any more pushing. Like I need to do more pulling if I'm doing like long cycle to like balance that out. If I'm doing bench press, I'm not going to fatigue myself doing benching. It's not worth it. So it's fine, whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. I don't even know where I was going with it, but yeah.
What about you?
Yesterday, me right now, just bench pressing.
Just bench pressing? Just trying to hit PRs?
Well, I'm working. So I did 50K barbell in a few months ago, April.
I saw that. Maybe. Yeah, it was impressive.
So I did it with the kettlebell. I did it with the barbell. Took some time off from like anything strict for like a month. I was just kind of messing around. I was still doing stuff, obviously, but I wasn't like, there was no structure. And there was like also like a week where I just rested because barbell bench press is pretty taxing on the system, so you gotta let yourself like actually recover. Otherwise it's just I will die. So I've been talking with like my mentor Dan, who like helped me figure out my programming for bench pressing. So we're right now doing a conjugate style training and figuring that out and like really dialing in my weaknesses. That's why I did like the weird mace thing, or just trying to find all those little things and then drill them. But I don't have any like obviously I'm slowly working my way towards a 56, 50 whatever bench press. That's my first. I want to hit 56. I want to hit 57 because the record that I'm aware of is 56.5 for women.
Is that for a woman?
It was set by like a Welsh strongwoman back in the day. That's the only
Oh,
record I could find. And
you'll beat
so
that.
oh yeah, I'm doing it. It's happening. I just
Mm.
like it's I had to kind of take a step back for a little bit because shifting from kettlebell to barbell was a trick. Like it was tough to like figure out all the different things because it's almost its own lift at that point. Like the kettlebell bent press is very different. I was talking about this with Peter yesterday actually. It's a different lift. There's a whole lot of different things and factors you have to take into account. So I had to work my way back up to 50. But now I really like the kettlebell or the barbell bent press, and I'm now drilling every tiny weakness that I can. Wrist, triceps are those big ones for me at the moment, and then hopefully we'll test that. We've only been doing it for like I think this is like this is my third cycle of it, and it's like a 6-week cycle, so I think I'm on like week 10 or something.
Okay.
No, wait, 14 is a 6-week. Yeah, so we're figuring it out, and then I don't know, maybe I'll try to do another one in the next few months and see. We haven't quite figured it out because we can't find anyone else who does like conjugate style training for bent presses.
Very niche.
So it's like me and Dan. We're kind of like it's like a collaboration of like figuring out what the heck we're doing, and like what are going to be the most beneficial. And like it's really it what's nice about it. Do you know like what conjugate style is at all, or should I?
Explain.
So it's from like Wenning, and Max Wenning. I don't know, but it's like 3 days of training. So you have a max effort day, and that's 6-4-2-5-3-1. And it's not like max effort on like your main lift. It's like a weird lift. So that's why I've been doing kneeling and bottoms up and all the weird things that I've been doing. So it's max effort, but it's not like the top of your effort, right? So it's still it's taxing, but not crazy taxing. And then you have max reps day. You're basically doing like super high accessory work. So like I've been doing like hamstring curls. I kind of mix it up with like I have band pull downs or pull aparts, and it's a super quick, easy training that session. It takes like maybe 15-20 minutes. It's really quick. So I pair that up with like my running day because I have to run her. Otherwise, it's a mess. She's a border collie. And then there's a dynamic effort day. And like for typical like things, I think they do a lot of chains. Like if they're doing like bench pressing or whatever. I'm doing bands. And you do that for 10 sets, like 1, 2, or 3 reps, depending. So super low rep, but like high sets at like a really low weight. So I'm doing like 18 kilos, which is less than 50% of my max. But I'm adding a band, which makes the way that you lock out different, and it's like a speed work. Because one of my other things I work on is I get stuck here. So right now I'm trying to, for this is an audio format, I get stuck about halfway through my lockout, and then I have to like try to lock out. So it's trying to get that. So that's what we're working on right now and figuring out what it is, and I don't know when I'll do a max test. I also am trying to figure out, because my husband is in the military, and in theory we will be moving at some point in the next little while. So I'm not sure. I want to do a test. I want to see like what I can do in Colorado because we're at elevation here. It's like Olympic training city, like literally. So I want to test everything here and then also test it when I get to wherever we're going, because presumably we'll be at a lower elevation. I don't think I could move to a higher elevation in the States.
Yeah, that's pretty high already, isn't it? Do you think that will have like a big impact in terms of like elevation? Do you think for max efforts that would be quite influential, say if you were to come closer to sea level?
I think so. Well, definitely for the cardio. Like I also want, I'm also
Yeah.
going to test like my runs and like sport stuff. My cardio is going to go up for sure, for sure. But I don't really know about bench pressing because I didn't train bench press the way that I do now when I lived at sea level because I used to live in San
Yeah.
Diego, which is right there.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in how that affects. I don't know. That's why I'm gonna do a bunch of tests.
Yeah.
And see. I presume my sport numbers will go up because my cardio will be better.
Yeah.
And I know my running numbers will go up. So that'll be fun. Because when I visited my family in December, I went for a run and I was like, this is amazing.
It's
like
so
I
easy.
have been I have been struggling and I've been here for 3.5 years, so like it should be easier and it's not like hard, like it's not, but I got down there and I was like, what is this? Is amazing. Like I could just keep going right now and I'm going
Yeah.
faster. This is the best. So I'm really excited to test all of that.
Yeah.
So long as they let me leave this place. Which I have no control over, so we'll see.
We'll
Um,
see.
but also on the other side of it, I'm going to have a dog who's been training at elevation for 4 years.
Yeah. She's
So
gonna be
that'll be
wild.
fun. She's gonna have the cardio skills that I don't even. She's already so much faster than me, so she's
She's
got
gonna be
4 legs.
smoking.
So
Wow. Yeah.
that'll be. I'm gonna have to add some weights onto her when we run or something. I don't know.
She's gonna be
Tag
a
on
beast.
some. Yeah, tag on
Oh my God.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be interesting to see because obviously the max kind of effort would be anaerobic, and it would be interesting to see if anaerobic system is affected as much by elevation. But yeah, I will.
Yeah. I mean, they have all like literally the Olympic Training Center is down the road from me, so I assume there's got to be something because they have the weightlifters there, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have the
there must be.
so there's got
Yeah,
to be
there must
something.
be.
There's got to be something good here that people are like the top athletes are coming here to do their work. So when they go down to wherever the events are, they're good.
It's
So
easier. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. And obviously, on the subject of the bench press, that's something that, like, to be honest, I've introduced a good couple of coaches to here because that is not something you see around here. Like, barring the people that I have shown the bench press to, I don't know anyone else who trains it because most people look and just think, oh, that can't be good for your
it's
back.
dangerous.
Yeah, it's so dangerous. I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, just
Really concerned about your back when you start bench pressing. They're all of a sudden chiropractors, back doctor, they're everything, and they're like the top experts, and they know that you are going to hurt your back doing that. I've never had any back issues with bench pressing.
nope. In fact, I think it's made
Deadlifting,
it a
I've
lot
had it
stronger.
sometimes, but
Yeah,
but
yeah.
bench pressing haven't had an issue with it. No.
No, I mean, neither have I. And obviously, if you look at it, it's a lift that's like as old as time, really, isn't it? It's probably one of the
Mhm.
first max effort lifts that we ever seen, kind of practiced in circus and stuff like that. But like that for me is like just such. I just think kind of kinesthetically, you just get such nice feedback from it. Like it just feels so nice, and you can just feel the
So good.
tension of the tricep and the lat and everything. And like for me, it's just like a proper expression of true strength because if you have one weak link, that bell is not going over your head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny that you say like everyone becomes an expert, and you've got like people. I've had people comment on my videos who've like look like they've never lifted a weight in their entire life, and they're just like,
Always.
oh, I was waiting for the disc herniation, and I was thinking you've got more of a chance of herniating a disc getting out of bed than I have bench pressing a 56 kilo kettlebell
No.
because you're not resilient.
No. No. Yeah, same thing with when people see like videos of me doing sports style versus hard style, everyone becomes an expert and they're like, is this so safe way to do it? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Stop it. Like if my stuff gets reposted to another page, which happens every now and then, it's immediately filled with, is this safe? It looks like she's picking up her feet when she's doing the snatch. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's what you're
I'm
supposed to do.
I'm supposed to. I promise you, I know what I'm doing. I have worked with really good coaches. I know they would yell at
Yeah.
me if I was doing it wrong. I promise.
Yeah. Sport's one of them, isn't it? I suppose like you'll see the rack position with sports is kind of just what looks like this horrible flexion in the back, but most people have no idea because the weight is on the hips. Like if you think about where the bells are, they're positioned over the hips. They're not positioned. It's not like you've got them in a rack up here and you're like hyperextending your back. It's like it's nice and low. Yeah. So like I say, I was skeptical of sport when I first saw like Dennis Vasilev or the like moving like double 32s, and I was thinking, my God, that can't be good. But then I was like, he's been doing this for 20 years. He's obviously got like no issues at all.
No,
and then I looked into it. He's an animal. Like people who do sport just amaze me, to be honest, because I tried a set of long cycle. I used 220 key kettlebells. I got about 1 minute in and I just thought, what the fuck is going on? Like, I just could not do it. And because I was like, I'm going to make this a part of my conditioning. I'm going to learn to do it. And I done like 1 minute and I was like, fuck this. I just never done it ever again.
Yeah, it looks sketchy. And like, honestly, like it is weird. It's a weird position to be in. Like, it's a very sport specific movement to be in that rack position with your hips tucked forward, your elbows. Like, this is a weird position to put your body in. And if you're not prepared for it, if you don't build up appropriately, and if you're not bracing properly, yeah, it could be dangerous. But also, so can everything be dangerous if you're not doing it properly. So like, that's like one of the first things when I'm coaching long cycle in sport is like, this is going to feel funky for a minute. Like, this is not going to feel natural. It's going to feel weird. And if you just embrace that and like lean into it and keep doing it, eventually it'll just feel natural. And now it's like, I'm out here, I'm like, what am I doing? I just want to just drop the elbows into my guts, and hope for the best. Yeah, it's great though. You don't want to ever compete in sport? You don't want to try sport?
It's been something I've looked at before. To be honest, the only kind of inkling I've ever had of it was it would be interesting to test myself and see, because I know I'm shit at it, and like anything I'm shit at, I always want to get better at it. So I've got an element of curiosity kind of about sport and training for sport, but kind of in the sense of what you mentioned before, like I feel like my mental resilience is probably not where it needs to be to do a 10-minute cycle. Like I will just give up. And like, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Like, I can grind through a heavy lift or a heavy set of any traditional grind and movement. But with sport, it's the lungs. And like, I generally don't do any really kind of like anaerobic work in terms of sprints or anything like that. And I like comfortable paced runs because I know they get me fitter, and I like comfortable paced conditioning. I know Emilio does now like a lot of this really ridiculously fast, like hard, like max heart rate stuff. And so I think someone like him would probably be better suited to it. But I just find it, I mean, it's because I've not practiced. Like if I practiced, I'm sure I'll get better. But I find that at the minute, like, wow, this is crushing me. But definitely down the line, I think it will be something I'd be interested in doing.
Run a marathon, you can probably mentally get yourself in a spot for sport.
I don't know.
I think because how long does it take you to run a marathon? It's got to be. Like,
it took me 4 hours 37 minutes, but I didn't really train for it. So I feel like if I'd have trained for it a little bit, I mean, like I went on a 2-week holiday where I just drank every day, and then I come home and was jet lagged for a week, and then I had to run it, and I'd done one run in a month. So I feel like this last
it's a really solid deload then, right? That's how we're gonna frame it, as a deload before the but like if you can mentally get through 4.5 hours of running, you could probably mentally get through 10 minutes of long cycle. But like, yeah, it is a mental thing. Like, I think more than lungs, it's brain. Because your brain is like, do we want to keep doing this? Like,
I don't think you do.
Are we sure? We could just put them down. It's a fight. It's a mental fight more than like when I did my last like really hard set was in December. I did jerks, and mentally jerks break me. I had to talk to myself out loud in order to finish that set. Like my brain was like, and like I talked about this with Colleen too. Is like I had to hear myself say it, like, you can do this. Like like in my brain was like, we were talking ourselves through it, but like I had to like hear me tell me this is a thing we're doing, and we can do this. It's hard, but that's okay. That set is on YouTube. Everyone wants to watch me look like a complete psychopath talking to myself in my room by myself. But like that's what I had to do. I had to like put a note on the on the like submission, because it was a video submission. I was like, hey, just so you know, I talked to myself a bunch in this set.
It's fine.
Feel free to mute me. Don't listen. And then she was like, no, it's okay, I do that too. And I was like, okay. But yeah, mentally, I think that's also like why I like bent pressing as well, is like it's mentally hard. Like this is a weird thing that we're like, it's a tough position to put your body in. You have to be able to like have that mobility and like also the strength on top of it. Like it's a lot of things, and it's kind of a grind. So like if I'm not mentally in it, I can just drop it and it's over. So you have to be able to like be in it with your head as well. But I mean, a marathon, I ran a half marathon. I crossed the finish line and I was like, that's as far as I'll ever run. That's it for me, and I'm good now, and I have kept that promise. I have not ran more than like 5 miles since then.
God's a woman of your words.
It was this half marathon. I crossed the finish line, dead tired. I think I finished it in like 1:58 or something.
Nice pace.
And yeah, I was good. I was running. I was running like 3 times a week. I was running a lot. Also, I was overtraining because I was doing that and training for sport. I did so stupid. Don't do this if you're listening. I did a half marathon on a Saturday. The next Saturday was the Cali Open, where I did long cycle and snatch for 10 minutes.
Oh.
Why would I do that? And then I'm like, after I was like, why am I so tired? Why do I feel so shitty?
That's why.
Stupid. I would do my long runs like 10, 12 miles, and then I would in the morning, and then in the evening I would go do long cycle and snatch.
I like that though. Yeah, but you know what?
Not that much volume, because I was doing 12 miles of running. Also, I was not eating enough. And then coaching all day, and then doing 8 minutes of long cycle. Stupid as shit.
It's a lot, but you know what? Dumb. Like stupidity. Like anyone who knows me will know that like I am so stupid when it comes to training, because I almost don't have this concept of like being overtrained or like anything really, and I just kind of like to do things that I think there's absolutely no way I should be doing this. I definitely can't do it, but then there's a part of my brain like, yeah, just do it. And like I find it hard to switch that kind of switch off, in a sense. Like when I'm all in on something, I'm like all in, like I'm proper all or nothing, and then when I'm not, I'm just like so I just kind of err towards the side of I will train hard until I'm overtrained and I'm forced to take a break. And then
so you don't like incorporate rest at all into yourself? Because didn't you just post about rest and holidays?
Yeah, so yeah, but if you notice on the 5th slide, I said I should take more holidays. So like I feel like I'm becoming a bit more self-aware of that now, because obviously with running a gym, being a coach, like running a house, training in the gym, running, like all these things, it's so much, but I feel like I kind of need that stimulation. But I also recognize that I do need to learn to switch off. But this is the worst coaching advice ever, because I always tell my clients to prioritize rest, but like I do not like rest. Like I know it's good for me. Like touch wood, I haven't really had any injury. I've had one injury in like 5 years. But I'm kind of the mentality of like, while I'm really young, I'm just
How
gonna
old are
train
you?
hard.
That's what I was just
25.
gonna ask. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm young,
That's
like,
when I was doing a half marathon one week and a kettlebell comp the next week. I was, I think, 25. So yeah, that's about right. That's about right for 25.
Yeah, when I suppose, like, as I age, I'm probably gonna have to, like, I will be forced to reassess the way I train, because if I continue doing it this way, like, I know I will get injured and I know I'll get burnt out, and like, if I have kids or anything like that that come along, like, that's gonna be a big energy drain. So my kind of perspective is like, while I'm privileged enough to be in the position to overtrain, like, I'm gonna do it because I like it. And it's got me to where I am today, to be fair. And like, I like to think that, not to toot my own horn, but I like to think, like, pound for pound, relatively, pretty fucking strong. And I think that's
Yep.
because of a lot of volume. Like, you don't get strong, you don't get better by like arsing about and training. Like, I'm very cautious of the word overtraining, because a lot of gen pop go, oh, I'm overtrained. And I'm like, you fucking do 45 minutes in the gym 3 times a week. Like, you're not overtrained. You just don't know how to recover. And you're not eating properly. Like, I think 99% of people struggle.
Yeah, it's a thing, because it's like you probably aren't recovered because you're not, because when you start working out and training, people are like, and they're also like trying to lose weight, and they're not fueling their body appropriately, and then everything feels like shit.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, but no, as you because now I make sure I incorporate, like, I have a couple of like full breaks from training, at least twice a year, trying to like keep my brain, and typically after like a big lift. So like after I did the 50K, took like a full week of just chilling mostly. After I did my comp in December, it was for the holidays, so I basically fucked off the rest of the month. I traveled for a week because I was visiting. My sister was on a show, and then I was back, and it was like about to be holidays, and I was like, I'm not gonna start a program on December 16th. Like who's doing that? I'm not gonna. But like I try to like make sure that I am, because yeah, I'm 31. I have to protect my body so I can keep doing the things that I want to do. Do you do like mobility type work stuff to balance out, or are you like really 25 and not doing anything?
So you might not like the answer to this question. Generally, no. So like, that's the long and short. Like, I'll mobilize through the ranges of motion that I'm going to use, if that makes sense. So like, I see a lot of people will warm up with bands or whatever, and they're just doing this and doing this, and then it's like, you're going into squats, and like, what are you doing that for? I will generally, if I'm gonna do a squat, like, I'm gonna kind of get some external resistance to warm up a squat. I warm up what I need to, and I don't really suffer with like any stiffness or anything of that nature whatsoever, because I mobilize into a lift. And honestly, like, I don't do any stretching. I used to be a big fan of yoga. Honestly, it didn't make me any more mobile. It just made me a bit more flexible. So like, that flexibility was only applicable to them poses, and I didn't want to train to be better at yoga. I wanted to go to yoga to be more mobile in my lifts, but actually I should have been looking for mobility and not flexibility. So when I started pushing end ranges a little bit more, and kind of getting into really deep squats and kind of making sure that my lockout overhead was really nice, I found that I had no thoracic mobility issues, no hip mobility issues, no ankle mobility issues. And I know not everybody is the same, but my kind of ethos is mobility work is only useful if it's a place that you're really lacking. I don't feel like I'm lacking, so I don't feel like I need any extra mobility work, if that makes sense. But I know a lot of beginners might need to do it before they go into lifts. I'm just at a point now where I've done that many squats and presses and bench presses that I just feel like I'm working muscles in the lengthened position and the shortened position to the point where I don't have issues. So no, the answer is no, not really. But I do
This
feel
is going
that.
to be a really fun comparison because Peter's episode is before you, and he talks a lot about pails and
And
rails
rails and cars
and FRS, and so that's fun. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta find what works for you, and make sure you're not hurting yourself. I have like my set ones that I really work through, and that's what benefits me, and that's fine.
yeah, I
You'll
agree.
age
Like,
though.
yeah, I know. You know what?
So
I do a lot of walking, and like most people don't really see that as like mobility, but I kind of feel like the answer to stiffness is just to move your joints the way they're meant to move. But I know Peter does a lot of stuff, and I always look at his stuff, and I think that looks painful. Like, but his is specific to like just having really buttery hips and being able to get it into a deeper position in the bench press, and I think that like it's amazing watching some of the things that he can do, and like I think, oh, I wish I was that mobile. In all honesty, I don't have the time to be spending doing all of that. When I'm training, I kind of prioritize strength training and becoming mobile through strength training. But it's something I've kind of dabbled in and out of, and dependent on how I'm feeling, I will do more of it. I use a lot of clubs and like the mace now as well, which to be honest, I find is like adequate mobility. Like 5 or 10 minutes on the air bike for me it's seen as like this generalist warm up of like getting on the treadmill, but I actually feel like mobilizing and just getting into this position over and over again really loosens me up for a workout. And I find
more
that
stretchy than like full
yeah,
mobility. Yeah, it's more stretchy than actual like mobility, like focused work. But it doesn't take too long to do whenever you do decide, whenever your body tells you that you have to do it.
I'll listen to that.
I'm actually like, because I know not to promote Peter on yours, but he on your episode, but he's doing like a mobility thing that I've been like, well, maybe I'll try. It's like supposed to take like 15 minutes a day. I was like,
I want to do that, to be fair. Like, he's the only person who could get me interested in mobility because he's the only person I know whose kind of protocols look specific to what I do. And it's not like these little, I don't know what they're called, the CrossFit ones where they have like the something WOD, or where it's like 10 minutes a day.
The WOD daily things.
Yeah, the WOD daily. Yeah. So like Peter's stuff does look more specific, and like I like his principles of like mobility training being, it is just strength training. Like if there's no other way of looking at what he's doing is strength training. Like he's not just going through the motions with a band. He is like really getting into external rotation and forcing kind of his arms open, and like he's got bands against his legs, and like that stuff is like more akin to the style of training I want to do. And range. Yeah. So that's
do you
what I'm interested in.
Rich Thurman, coach RT3? He does mobility. He's like one of my favorite mobility people.
Really?
He's awesome. He does a lot of really cool mobility things that is like strength and range. Like you probably like his work as well. I always recommend his page. I have about 500,000 of his posts saved from over the years, and he does a lot of mace work. Like he was actually one of the first people I started doing maces. He's really cool, so definitely I would check him out too as a person. I always like to like promote him because I feel like I've gotten so much like free information from him. He's super awesome and kind. Also, he gave me a tutorial on some mace moves that I was struggling with. So super rad. Also, a really great mobility practitioner. Thank you. I was like, I was going for like pro, and I was like, that's not the right way to go. Well, I just don't want to take up the rest of your day or evening, because it's evening for you. How do people work with you? How do we find you on the internet?
So my Instagram handle is at the KB, as in kettlebell coach, and then I have a website as well, but that's for the gym, so that would be synergystrength.co.uk, and there you can find details about like the online training and coaching that I offer. But generally, most of my traffic is directed through Instagram because I like having everything in one platform. Couldn't really get to grips with TikTok too much. Didn't really like it because I was just getting lost in holes of stupid videos for like 2 hours. So I was like, I need to get off this. But yeah, that would be the way to find me. So just through Instagram at the KB Coach or through synergystrength.co.uk.
Perfect. Everyone follow Leighton, and if you're in Liverpool area, go to his gym, or I guess message him so you can book a session with him at his gym.
Well, thank you, Tiff.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for being my first international guest on the pod.
Oh yeah, it's
Fancy.
a privilege.
And and I guess that'll be it, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you very much, Tiff.
And that was my episode with Leighton. Make sure you're following him on Instagram. And if you're in the Liverpool area, check out his gym, Synergy Strength Studio. And even if you're not in the area, check out his online programming options. All of these things are linked in the show notes so you can find him, find his socials, and maybe work with him. And I hope you really enjoyed this episode. I hope to see some of y'all at Bellfest this weekend. If you haven't gotten your tickets, that will be linked in the show notes as well. And if you're not coming to Bellfest, I will see you at the next episode.